So I am Janice Dupre. I've been a part of Lowe's for 8 years now. I started here as their first Chief Diversity Officer in Culture Work. So that was my first reason I came, and I really was intrigued to do it in B2C because I've done it in B2B a lot. And then it just grew pretty exponentially to the head of HR in 2020. So started this lovely role at the beginning of the pandemic. So it's just been a blast and it's been crazy. But I started my career actually in accounting and finance. So my undergrad's accounting, I'm a CPA, and I got my MBA in finance, and I worked in that space for probably 17 years. And really learned a lot there, but felt like there was a different calling. And so got a chance to transition into HR. I don't think the leadership knew what they were doing when they asked me to come over to HR, but then I fell in love with it. And so we all stayed on the same page. And so I kept doing it. So I'm not a original, but I'm a transplant and I like it.
Well, and I want to start there as well. You said something right before we got started that you're one of those few people who gets excited to come to work every day. And I think about that a lot because if you think about our old model of kind of learn, work, retire, and traditionally our parents' generations and the generations before that, it was like up and through your 20s, you're learning, then you work for 40 years and then you're retiring for another 20 if you're lucky, right? And you spend these 40 years, 50% of that whole time trying to escape it and waiting and thinking, can you do early retirement and how can you get away? And it's, which is such an unfortunate way of treating
Yeah.
those 40 years, particularly when we're living longer and our relationship to work is likely to just get longer. I'm not saying more intense, but like over a longer period of time. So what makes you happy to go to work every day? Like that's
Well,
exciting.
yeah, I think it's a great question. And I think I originally thought that was how it was supposed to go when I started my career, that I'm supposed to, work, go to school, work hard, build a life that you can retire and go do what you want to do. But I made it's a personal thing for me, I would say, Coco, because I made a conscious decision that I got to get up every day and I'm just going to find joy in whatever I'm doing. So I have just personally chose to live my life that way. So that's how I approach life. It's how I approach work. And then I figure out how to make work mine. So I know I'm not the best in everything that I touch, but the stuff that I don't know, I have great relationships with people that help me know and help me do that better and teach me and support me. And so I think that is a part of why I find it intriguing. Like I find it when it's stuff I don't know, it's like a journey and a challenge to go say, well, how can I solve this? Because I stopped looking at it as just for me. I think when I took on this role, the aha moment was there's 300,000 people counting on me every day to make good decisions for this company that supports them and their existence. And economically, I'm in a much better position than most of those people. So I don't make decisions about me. I have to make it about them. So part of it is being in their shoes. Part of it is listening to them, engaging with them. And I find it fascinating at how hard people are willing to work, how much they love the company or they're willing to dedicate to do this. And I find that refreshing. So that gives me joy to say, well, then what do I do to make their lives easier and better? So that's where my joy comes from, because I go in and I have a full agenda. When I look at my calendar, it's completely loaded almost every day. There's probably 30 minutes for lunch. And then I'm like, and none of it ever works out. None of it. So I have no expectation that this calendar is ever going to work. So I just go in and I'm like, okay, so I'm ready for this day. We'll see how it ends up. And I end up realizing it probably was about 60% right. And about 40% of it was completely out of control. But then, and so I have chosen to find joy in the chaos and figuring out how to solve it because there's people counting on me. And I find that as a unique opportunity and a responsibility that I relish in. And I take so seriously that I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to ask me to do this role, then I'm willing to take on the hard problems and I'm willing to stand up against the tough stuff. And that's what you're asking me to do. So I'm going to go do it. And so I feel like that's where I find the joy is I got 300,000 people looking for me to make a good call.
I love that. Let's dig into this 300,000 person company. So so you really, I think culture is it's embedded in you, and you've had a lot of your career dedicated to elements of culture, even beyond sort of the traditional HR work. And so tell us, what you hit a 95% rate in your engagement surveys with a 300,000 person company. That's
Yeah.
that's amazing. What is it about the culture, and what is it that you've learned in the activating of this culture from the front line to the corporate teams that we should be thinking about here?
Yeah, so what I would say is we have a 95% participation rate. So when I
Mhm.
started here, it was around low 70s, like 71, 72. And every year when the survey would come out, I was like, did we improve the number of people participating? And they said it went up 1%. I was like, oh my God, what does it take to move this ship? This is like going to take forever. And so what I realized is that the reason why people don't spend the time doing the survey is because they don't see that it's valuable. So people are
Right.
going to take the time if they find it valuable. And so I said, well, so I started to just do reconnaissance and asking a lot of questions as why are you not taking the survey? And a lot of them didn't trust it. They didn't
Mm.
trust it was confidential. They didn't trust that people were doing anything with it. So why take the time away and go take a 15-minute survey or whatever it was and give you feedback? You're not doing anything with it anyway. So there was trust was a clear indicator to me. And it also was tied to bonus in the field. And I was like, well, there's another trust issue. So if I can architect what my outcome is and it's going to help me get more money and a bonus, then that feels a little unsavory, I would say. So I just did the understanding. And what I love about not actually being growing up in HR is I get to say, well, I don't know why that would happen. So I get to put on an analytical brain, which is what I was born with and what I grew up with. I transitioned into HR, but my core is analytics. And I said, well, if people are going to spend time doing the survey and we're going to take 15 minutes from a store associate away from a customer, selling them something or helping them solve a problem, then daggett, this thing better be worth their while and they better know that we're doing something with it. So my mission was we've got to get the number up and we've got to let them know it's confidential. I have no idea who you are. I'm not going to pay anybody to get a certain score. And by the way, we're going to do something with it. And then we did a correlation analysis and we learned that every time we increased engagement and we stack ranked our stores, this is what's beautiful about being B2C, because you can see revenue and you can see financials. So I asked our head of stores, I said, tell me the top 5 or 6 metrics that matter most in your business. Because I was new to retail and I was not new to HR, but I was new to retail and trying to understand this customer facing company. And he said, these are the 5. And he put a customer sat, he put, their performance, financial performance, he put labor risk, he put retention. And those were the 4. I think it was those major 4. And it may have been breakdowns up under that. And I said, okay, then I'm going to figure out how to take the engagement survey, revamp it so it's aligned with understanding these things that are going to be
Mm.
drivers for outcomes that we needed to get to. And that it's still shaping culture, but what are the cultural nuances that it's going to cause better financials, better retention, less labor risk, and better customer sat? So what do I need to know from these 300,000 people that is going to move us into that direction? So the survey got revamped. We did all this work. And when we got it after the first year, so the engagement went up a little bit. It went from like maybe 71, 72 to like 77. So I was like, oh, well, we got 5 points. That's great. I'll take it. But what happened was we stack ranked the stores top to bottom. And we said for the stores that on average had a higher engagement comparative to what the store overall average was, every single one of those stores outperformed in those 4 core metrics. Every single one consistently. So I
Mm.
said, I'm not exactly sure if this is magical. So let's check it out. And then we test it and we every year and we saw, and these stores make more money, their engagement is higher. They have higher LTR, which is likely to recommend or customer sat. Their retention was higher and their financial performance was better and their labor risk was lower. And it was because this engagement drives discretionary effort, which drives better outcomes. So then the math made sense. And I was like, okay, so we know the math works. We know the story works. And so when I said that, I didn't even walk our head of stores through this. I said, oh my God, I think we proved the hypothesis. And I sent him a summary and I said, I think this is going to make sense. And he goes, I love it, Jan. I love it. And the same day I sent him a summary, I said, call me, we can talk through it. I was so excited. He didn't want to talk about it. He was like, I get it. I get it. He goes, I need to drive engagement. If I drive engagement and get my people focused on engagement, I'm going to get better outcomes in these areas. And this is what is going to drive this business in a way that's beyond the tactical action things that they got to do every day, to tactics. And that is what shifted everything, because where the stores go, they have 95% of our people. Of that 300,000, they're sitting in stores, 1,750 some odd. So that's the number. So where they go, that's where the Lowe's go. So I'm like, I need more engagement. I need the. So then they got involved in helping drive engagement. And what they used, and this was such a great test case, is that engagement scores are now a part of development. It is a part of the training that store leaders get and everybody across the company gets. You can get fired because your engagement scores are consistently low and there is no progress being made. So
Engagement score meaning engaging in the survey.
No. Your participation rate is now table stakes at Lowe's. It's 95% or better. So that's just table stakes. But your outcome on actual engagement, your engagement score, your leadership effectiveness score, and your inclusion score, if those numbers are showing below average, then that means those stores, for example, so this is the activation that came off of this, aligning the engagement to be something that is producing outcomes was one thing, but now you had the action off of it. And what we said is that store managers that are consistently low on engagement and are not seeing progress, and we can see the metrics were down, you got to do something. So we put those stores as focus stores. So they got a little extra support. So that meant HR went in and said, what's not happening? Are we not listening enough to associates? What's happening? What's the biggest issue? So then you got up under what the problems were and you can go suit the problem and you start to fix it. So then that told associates that somebody is listening. Yeah. So I'm going to take the survey. Somebody is listening to me and they're doing something about it. And that started to shift how the stores, which is our biggest group, supply chain, we've seen increases in. So everybody's hitting 90 some odd percent participation. But if stores hit 95, we're in 95 participation. But engagement has consistently gone up and the stores are driving that because we are doing something with the survey. So it's not just integrated into performance management in terms of how you get hired, you get to keep your job, how you get paid, right? Because to pay for performance, guess what's an indicator on pay for performance? Engagement, leadership effectiveness. So this survey is integrated into how we make decisions about talent and success at this company. So it's not just a cute thing to do and feel good about engagement and da 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 da. No, your job is that you need to support your associates and you need to create a work environment that causes people to foster progress. And if you're not doing that, it's going to stand out. And so we've let people go and we've told people who we hired how tied this is to it. Does that help?
Yeah, oh, totally. And I pulled up Lowe's stock. Your stock is doing phenomenally too.
I'm so grateful. Thank you, God.
Let's talk about listening at scale. Because you like, how do you get to engagement? Nina asks a question here around making org changes as a result of the feedback. You talked about, when associates give us feedback, we act. How do you do that? You mentioned the HR people going into the stores and saying, what is it? What's the problem here?
So several things. So number one, our CEO started out as an hourly associate in his career. So he was $4.35 if you ever listen to Marvin Ellison's story. So he understands the hourly associate, which makes up a good 95% of our population. So he's an advocate. People email him you can be a store associate, you can email Marvin. It makes me nuts, but it happens. But and the nuts part is not that they email him. My thing is when he responds. I'm like, don't respond. Let me But that's okay because he's so eloquent and that he's so relatable. So number one, we've bridged the thing between us and them.
Mm,
They see us as them.
mm,
So what happens is our ELT is in stores or distribution centers every week or at least 3 times a month. So I am in a store, going to visit a store almost every week. And I'm hitting 2 and 3 stores at least when I'm doing that. Secondly, so that's an expectations. We'll pop up. And then we do a lot of recognition when we're there. Sometimes we go anonymously, sometimes we go planned. But when we show up, so we don't sit in this office every day, we're in the field. We have our officers in corporate every Black Friday. We work a store. I don't care where we are in the country. Unless you're out of the country on vacation, Black Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you've got a shift in a store. And that is
mm.
showing solidarity. It's also the last thing I'll tell you that we do. There's other things we do on listening, but I'll give you this other one is that our officers in corporate in North Carolina and Charlotte spend 4 hours every Thursday, 7 weeks in the spring, which is our biggest season, 7 weeks in the fall. And they are in blue jeans and a red vest and slinging mulch or salt, addressing customer orders, fulfilling customer orders, working to checkout, working receiving. They are at work. And what that means is that we now understand the things that we produce for the field in corporate. We understand why that is working or not working. And I'm working alongside one of those associates. So just Black Friday, I worked from 6 to whatever in the morning and I did fulfillment. My black jeans were about as dirty. They look like tan. I was slinging product all over the place. I am climbing through things and I am one of them. And there at the same time, I have notes. We have a mission that says we take a list, we don't leave a list. So when we go in the store, our objective is to rally the team, understand what's not working, and come back and figure out how to get it fixed. So I got a list of things as I'm working with this associate who's responsible for fulfillment. And I'm saying, what is working? Why is that stuff happening? Why are we having to put this stuff back in the shelf? How come this customer hasn't come to pick this up and it's been here since October? And I'm
Mm.
realizing there's system issues. So guess what? I have a whole list of 6 things by the time I got home and before I went to bed. My head of supply chain, who has fulfillment, had this summary of these things and said, this is what I experienced. These so much phenomenal things happening, but these are real issues that are slowing them up. How can we address this? And she's like, on it. We'll take it to the team on Monday. We'll figure out how to work through this. So they know we're listening. And in this survey, and this is the last point I'll make, and happy to take any other questions you got. The last
Yeah.
point on this survey is, you know how on the surveys you have a write-in that people don't, it's
Mhm.
not always a question, but it's a write-in. So what happened early on, and this is where I get to not know stuff, and then I just get to go ask questions, is we saw thematics around break room or not. They didn't feel like the break rooms were good. They didn't feel like the vending machines had good food and at good prices. And if you think about if you have an overnight shift, there's no restaurants to go to between 12 and 6 a.m. or whatever their shift could be, 10 to 6. They don't know. And they don't have any, I mean, they don't have any place. So they're relying on the vending machine food. And so this was just in the write-ups and the thematics. And so I go to our head of stores and I said, hey, Joe, I don't know exactly what the issue is, but the vending machine is a problem and the break rooms are not good. And he goes, I'm on it. So
Mm.
this was not a survey question. Do you like the break rooms or is the food okay?
Yeah.
So they went out and did the reconnaissance and they came back and he said, we're going to change up vending. We're going to put better product in there. We're changing up the vending vendor. We're going to hold them accountable for refreshing good food in there. And we're going to subsidize the price point and take this down because we saw that our employee discount by our field associates was used more for food and drink than it was for them to buy products for their home to fix their home. We're like,
Mm.
you're using your 10% discount to buy a Gatorade? So that told us that those prices weren't making sense. And these things should not be costing us much money. And so and so they see that and they're like, oh my God, they're doing something. So now in our stores and distribution centers, when it's time for the best survey, which is what our name is, they have thematics going out. There's circus, there's football, there's there's all kind of thematics for the 3 weeks that is happening when the survey comes in. If I'm floating through stores, they're like, Jan, we're already day one, we're at 70% participation. They are on it. And so
Mhm.
it's now theirs. And that's the joy that I think about why I get so excited is here is something that is culture, it's HR related topic. But because we made it business related, I could give it away. And now the business runs culture, not me. I'm the strategist. My team is the strategist, but they own it and they get it and they drive it. And I just get to sit back and applause. And the best form of flattery was when we were doing our analyst and investor conference and they were writing my script. The first year I was doing it, I was a nervous wreck because normally HR doesn't pitch at these things in New York. And I was like, ooh, okay. And when they had to rewrite my script 4 times because all of the HR content was being woven throughout all the leaders. And so they were talking about engagement. They were talking about development. They were talking about the programs that we have launched. So I was like, well, what do y'all want me to talk about?
Mm.
I'm going to be dressed to the nines. I'm going to be ready, but I had no. So they had to rewrite my script
Mhm.
4 times. And Aleen's on here, and she's the one that writes my script. And she says, I don't know, Jan. Joe's going to talk about that. Marvin's going to talk about that. Samantha. And so I was like, well, then, okay. But we
Mhm.
figured out what I was going to talk about, and it was a great event. But that was the flattery, and that's why I get excited. If I can give this work away in a way that the business now takes it and embraces it, then I feel like that's good. That's just
Yeah.
good.
Oh, it's so inspiring. I absolutely love it. I want to, I have a segue that I want to follow on that, but Tanya, did you want to ask your question? I see that you've got something in here.
Thanks, Janice. I love hearing your story. I have a really long history in retail from
Mm.
Target, where I led employee engagement and, Gap and a lot of places. So I love all of the examples that you've shared. One of the questions that I have is, how have you ensured action planning at all levels of the organization based on the results of the survey, right? Because you
Yeah.
said people need to see that action is being taken for them to want to, continue to participate in the survey. But how do you cascade that?
Well, because it's leader led, to me, I expect the leader of that function to lead. And if it doesn't happen, it'll show up. And there's several things that ends up happening. So I no longer have to speak to engagement. They speak to it because it is a part of their performance expectation. It's written up in our end of year performance review. What has happened on engagement? What's going on? So Marvin holds us accountable. I don't have to hold him accountable. But what I will tell you is that because it's in a tool, we can see whether things are like, do they have a plan loaded and action? And then our HRBPs take that plan and they partner with their leader that they're supporting to say, okay, we've made these major commitments on engagement and leadership development, or what we gotta, how are you addressing these in your town hall, in your skip levels or whatever case, but we've got to demonstrate progress on these things and you got to put them as a part of your report out so your organization knows that you're doing something with it. So it has become integrated, Twana, is what I would say, is that leaders know the value of it. And so they now know they're held accountable to lead with it. And I go through stores I see them at our big store manager meeting in February, or if I'm in their store, they're like, Janice, I cannot wait for the survey to come because we're not going to be a focus store this year. We are coming off the list. And they work really hard. That gets me like emotionally excited because they understand that if you just put time and energy in supporting your people, if you do things right, fair, and equitable in your organization, people are going to run hard for you
Mm.
and they're going to over deliver and you just get to lead. And that's what people want to do. They want to lead, but they don't know how. And so part of the aspects is let's make it simple. Drive engagement. How do you drive engagement? I just told you exactly what you're doing wrong and exactly what you're doing right. And these are the people where you need to put your focus on. So go work on that. Get them involved to solve the problem. And I think we're painfully transparent. And I say painfully because sometimes it's really happy. And sometimes it's not so happy, but we're very transparent here from the top all the way through. So we'll just tell you the truth.
Mm.
And so that happens. Our CEO hosts a forum right after earnings call. It could have been a great earnings, it could have not been, but he will tell you the truth. And we're all on the stage. His team, the leadership team that is on that call, is on the stage, and they're answering every question. Our associates email us. Our AR cases, we handle them all. And then the executive that gets an AR issue, we take that seriously. So I think everybody understands that this culture is ours to protect and advance. And anybody that doesn't move that way, they're not going to last.
That's
And it will just
the
show up.
accountability. I'm so impressed with your level of accountability as an organization.
Yeah, I think it's because our CEO understands that we can't get this vision through if we don't have people following and moving with us. And because we can have all this great stuff, strategy, but if it's not going to go anywhere if nobody believes it and nobody's following. So culture matters. And he is a culture champion. So I am grateful that he understands that, because then it gives me capacity and room to make it real.
Janice, let's let's switch gears a little bit to, you've been talking so much about nurturing this culture and really supporting the employees and hearing them and helping them. They also help each other. You have this incredible employee relief fund. Maybe talk about what you've done as an organization to help them also feel that sense of we're all in this together and helping one another.
Yeah. So there's several things. So we have a Lowe's Employee Relief Fund, which I'm sure many other companies may have, and where our employees can give money to be able to help other employees when they're in financial crises and need support. And we don't outsource that thing. It's run by people in Lowe's. So we've got our core group of people that go on and off this board, but they review all the requests that come in. They have governance and practice and all the formalities, but they review all that, and because they have a heart for, they know our folks, they know what's happening, they know when the shutdown happened, some people's SNAP benefits got impacted. We know when people who are in weather impacted areas like fires, hurricanes, or whatever, we expect them to have a higher need, and so we are encouraging them. And I will tell you, our Lowe's Employer Relief Fund dollars were not high. They were average at best. And we're like, gosh, we got to do something about this. So we put on a bigger thing of how people can get involved. And we made this mission about, if you just do $1 per paycheck, we will have more than enough money to support the associates in this company. And so if you want to give back to your fellow associate that could be in need, $1 per paycheck, and you could do it through payroll deduction. So we built this whole campaign. The executive team and all of the officers are so proud to participate in our LERF that we donate money through LERF like it's a norm. Sometimes they get a little competitive and they're like, okay, well, HR is going to do a higher percentage of participation in LERF than finance. And so we get a little competitive sometimes and make it fun. But I think that's culture of who we are. And then I think it also comes, Coco, because we're a big community partners. So just in Jamaica, we have no stores in Jamaica, and we sent $1 million. And it's because we know these, and then we sent a bunch of stuff in kind, like wood and, cleaning buckets and all this, stuff that we sent. And it's not because we're expecting a return on all this, but we have to be good community citizens. And then I will tell you, when our CEO has a heart for, like I said, associates that are field associates and hourly associates, then when we have an opportunity to give back, so we've say like during the pandemic when we were an essential retailer and we were making a lot of money because we were one of the few that was open, we didn't just take that money to the bottom line. We did discretionary bonuses for our hourly associates. And so these people did nothing different yesterday than the next day, and they got extra money in their paycheck. We advocated for our vice presidents and below during COVID, and it still exists today, to start getting mid-year bonuses. Everybody only was on an annual bonus. And we thought with COVID, some people's family members are furloughed, they're not making money. And so your economics at home could look different. So let's go advocate to the comp committee to start paying out bonuses at mid-year. So vice presidents and below get paid mid-year and end of year bonuses, good or bad, but they get it. And it's obviously performance based, but I'm just saying those are the kind of things that says, are we thinking about you guys first? Are we thinking about what makes your life better so you can do it? So I think our community efforts that we do, we just announced, I think it was on Fox Business, that we're partnering with Building Homes for Heroes, where we're going to, in Mooresville, in our back door of our headquarters, we're helping to build 15 homes in a community that is only going to serve veterans.
Mm.
And so we have a huge veterans mindset. We have about 26,000 veterans in our workforce. We also have a heart for second chance. We have nearly 50,000 second chance people working at Lowe's across the country. I don't know who they are because and people don't know because we get them through programs that way they would have been gotten extra support, getting them ready for the work that they're going to go do. And so we hire them. Our AP team takes care of all of that. And so where their background checks may have not passed through our normal process, if they're not a big offender and a violent person and they just made a mistake, we will give them a second chance. And I will tell you, I don't know who these people are, but we can track engagement because that is confidential. But our team that external to us, they have a list of those IDs. They don't know these people. And they can look at engagement. And some of those engagement scores from those folks are higher than the average engagement of the people that are not. Because they are so happy to have another shot at being a productive citizen and that they're willing to go the extra mile. And then finally, I would say, our Lowe's Foundation, we do a lot of work around the skilled trades, and that is a commitment that we make. But I can talk about that more if you want to know more. But
Yeah, let's
so we
talk
just
about
have a
skilled
heart for
trades.
community.
You sure do, and I think that makes a huge difference. Obviously to all the people whose lives you touch, but also that becomes something that is integrated in everybody's sort of vibe and sense of what Lowe's is. And so that's got to help make everybody happy to go to work every day and proud of the company you are. Talk about the skills trade. That's a whole area where people are, I know so many young people who are saying, I should just, why am I studying what I'm studying? I should go be an electrician. And my daughter's boyfriend is doing terrifically in that field. Talk to me about skills trades and what we're doing to help young people and retooling in general, like what you're doing in that whole space and why it's such a passion for you.
Yeah, so when I took over this role, I also took over the chair of the foundation. And our Lowe's Foundation, we had, 4 strategic pillars, but we were kind of just really approving grants that kind of fit up under those 4 pillars. And when we did it, we looked at it and it says, boy, we're not being as impactful. And we didn't have a lot of resources and funds to do this. We had one fundraiser a year. And so we said, what could we do that could really be beneficial? So we partnered with an external firm that's in this space that helped us kind of do some reconnaissance. And we concluded, and we knew this already because we had an internal program, the implications on skilled trades and the rebuilding of this country is in peril. There's not enough skilled trades people that are available to address the real issues of plumbing, electrical, HVAC, like all the issues, when you're trying to get a plumber and it's 6 weeks out and you're like, I got to do something. And you're going into Lowe's, thank you very much, not Home Depot, but you're going into Lowe's and you're actually having a problem that you got to go solve, right? And so we said, this is something we understand. We know this. Let's refocus the foundation on the skilled trades. So we also have an internal program that started from a wonderful young man that worked on my team when I first got to Lowe's. He had this idea and we called it Track to the Trade. So that's our internal for our own associates that if you're at Lowe's and you want to go understand the skilled trades and get pre-certified as an apprentice, then we will do that for you for free. And you can be at Lowe's working and you can get your apprenticeship certification for electrical or HVAC. Obviously, it's spaces that make sense to us, not auto mechanics, but things like that. So we have our internal program, and that meant we were willing to export our own talent into the trades to help support our pros. Pro is a big part of our business. So we understand that they don't have enough people. And the more pros that we can produce is going to help this country. And also we know the facts, and we all know this, like you said, the kids are coming out of school and they don't have jobs and they have a lot of debt. And so the average age of a pro is averaging around 55. And so when they're retiring, their kids aren't taking over the business because their kids have gone to college and they're going to go do finance or marketing or whatever else, environmental. They're not going to run dad's plumbing business. So it's a dying area. And so we said, well, the country can't function off of that. So we took this bold step. I think we may have had $2 million in the bank account at the foundation. But after all this research, we said, we're going to make this huge commitment that in 5 years, we're going to get 50,000 people into the skilled trades and we're going to invest $50 million. I had no idea how we were going to do this, but we said this could be impacted. So this is why I find joy, Coco, because you get to come up with this crazy stuff, but you got to have a strategy behind it. And I love building the strategy on a purpose. I don't want to build a strategy off of something that seems good. I want to build it off of purpose. So our head of merchandising came to me and he said, Jay, I think that we can do more on fundraising. I think I can help you bring in more money for the foundation around skilled trades. And I'm like, really? So we host 4 big fundraisers, and our vendor partners who put product on our shelves are a huge part of this mission to get 50,000 people into the skilled trades with us. So we have raised an enormous amount of money in 3 years. And we're going to hit that 50,000 in 4 years instead of 5. So we're going to up the ante. So this makes my whole team nervous, but it just like, this is the stuff that gives me joy. I'm like, I was so scared when we said 50. I said, you guys give me numbers. I'm a numbers person. I got to know that we can hit these numbers, and how does this work? So the way we do it is we have partners around the country that are either in community or technical colleges or community-based nonprofits that are training people and getting them certified to go into the trades. So they're like Goodwill and Coconino Community College and Maricopa County Community Colleges. And, we have all these partners. She Built This City, all these partners around the country. Now we have 60, and we're just wrapped up year 3. We're going into year 4. So we'll have 70 some odd partners by the end of next year. We will hit $50 million of investment, and we're going to hit the 50,000 people by the end of next year. And so we have all these lovely, incredible partners, and now we have stories to tell. And we have people whose lives we are a part of helping transform, that were in jobs that were going nowhere. And now they can support their families because they're getting into plumbing and they're getting into HVAC. And these people make a lot of money.
Yes.
You know that it's not glamorous work for everybody, but my goodness, they are making, and so you're transforming people who may have not had a formal college education, and they may be making more than their sister who went to college for 4 years who's in debt. But we also advocate for people to get their college degree. So we do have where you can get a free degree on Lowe's through our program that we have here. So we support it all because with the dichotomy of 300,000 people, they're all over. But we believe in the skilled trades. It is helping this country. We believe it. Our CEO is now the co-chair of the Business Roundtable Committee on Skilled Trades. And
I love that. And go ahead.
Yeah, no, just that's it.
I love that. And I think, we've spent a lot of years in this country sort of creating a dual class citizenship between blue collar and white collar. And, that needs to stop. We sort of, idolize the idea of the white collar worker and the well educated in this one sense, sort of skills, whereas it's just as well educated and sophisticated and difficult and all of these things to be the quote unquote blue collar worker, right? And I've seen so much of that firsthand in my own family, and watching my daughter's boyfriend just make a great living, and he's just as smart and it's not a those kids who can't go to college to go to skilled trades. Like that's part of the stigma that doesn't serve us as a society, I think, in this way. So it's very.
We've been doing a lot of storytelling, and we're going to do more, Coco, that helps break that stigma women, single moms, or just young women who are going into the trades, and we're telling these stories now. So more to come. We got a docu-series that's going to come out next year, that has about I think it's 3 episodes that we have that kind of demystifies about the skilled trades. And we're getting a voice. We're partnering with legislators to understand. A great example is in Arizona. So we partnered with one of their community colleges to help them with this grant, and that's grant to help transform the skilled trades in education and certification. And they loved it so much that the governor said, we're going to invest in our community college system that enables more skilled trades. And so not only the funds we gave them, but now the state is allocating funds because they like that this is putting them to work. And when I looked at the needs and I learned about Arizona's needs, they have 130,000 skilled tradespeople they need today. And I'm like, well, geez, we're only producing 50,000 in 4 years. They could take all of them times 3. So I realized the need is even bigger. So we're gonna go bigger next year. I can't talk about it today, but we're gonna go bigger, and we're gonna make a difference in this area. And I just think that when you get to think about work that way, that's what gives me joy. I get to come in and create that. And it was all out of a sheer need. And it's like, yeah, I'm HR, but for God's sake, I get to go do something that could impact the country, that could impact people's lives. And that's the joy I think I get to experience when I get to sit back for a minute and get over myself when I may get frustrated about something, and I get to look at that and say, well, that was really worth it.
Yeah. We outsourced in my last company. I outsourced our telesales to a women's prison in Arizona, and I get that the second chance piece, but also just the joy and excitement of helping people build skills that probably haven't had that chance. Let's switch gears. Actually, I want to talk about AI, and I want to hear what your thoughts are there. But I feel like there might be some energy here that wants to say something too. So, did anybody else want to ask a question or chime in? Go ahead, Purvi.
Hi, Janice. Thank you so much for taking the time, and Coco for facilitating this. You are an inspiration, Janice. I heard you in the NACD session, and I love the CHRO, the mindset, the people centricity you bring. My question is on AI, right? AI is going to change the world. It is changing the world. 5 to 7 years from now, things are going to look very different. And so how are you sort of helping to prepare your workforce? What are you thinking about how to prepare them? Because the level of fear that exists in the market across, right, all levels is pretty high, right? We're trying to build something at Portly AI to help address that, but I'd love to see how you're thinking.
Yeah. So thanks for that. And I'll talk real quick from an HR, but then I should probably start with the Lowe's approach, and then I'll talk about what we're doing in HR. So for Lowe's, we do have a centralized approach where we have a core team that is supported by, I think there's 3 or 4 of us E's that are a part of that, led by our SVP that's responsible for AI. So we have identified these top tier initiatives where AI could help us do better. And the way we approached it was we didn't spend our time saying, how can AI reduce headcount, or how can AI reduce costs? We looked at it from, how does AI help us better serve our customers, or those who serve our customers? So that's how we think about it. So in the corporate center, we serve those who serve customers. And in the field, our store associates and our people in fulfillment serve customers. So we said, how do we do things that allow us to help make their jobs easier? And we're spending our time on the things that make sense, that is useful for them. And so that was the approach and the mindset. So we identified these lighthouse, I would quote unquote call them projects. And we've got huge initiatives that sit under, these agreed upon enterprise lighthouse projects that are heavily AI driven. I'll give you one as an example that's real, is we have a program called Milo, which is for a customer. So if you're a customer at Lowe's, you can get on Milo on your phone, and it'll tell you, you can ask it questions. It's a GPT, and you can ask it questions. I have a Kohler plumbing, fixture that's broken, and where can I find this fixture? And so it'll help you do that. But we have that same solution, and it started with our associates, called Milo Companion. And Milo Companion helps our field associates feel smarter, because Lowe's is a different retail environment. It's not where people don't come into us to ask us what aisle is something on. They come in, they do that, but they come to us and they say, I've got a leak, or I need to fix this crack in my cement. So they got a problem. So it's a complex addressing a relationship with a customer. And our associates, the number one reason why associates quit early from a company like ours is because they don't have the confidence to serve the customer on the floor. And so we can train you all day, but I cannot fit all this knowledge that's like this into your brain. It's not possible. So Milo Companion was birthed because we said we should put a companion in their ear and walks with them where they can have it and ask it questions. So we had a customer that came in and said, I have a pet, but I got to put fertilizer down. What's a pet-friendly fertilizer? And the store leader, whoever got that question, is like, they asked Milo. Milo told them, they said, we've got 3 options for you. Let's go do it. It's on aisle 7. Let's go figure it out. So now that gives confidence. And so you can see quick quits, or the people who are newer to the store and may not have all this experience. What that also created was this opportunity for us to think about staffing, because we think about staffing in the stores, which is our highest volume hiring, by department. But if I can now make you feel smarter about outdoor and season, the garden center, because you may work over here in millwork, which is doors and windows, but a customer's come through and you've been working with them on their windows and stuff, but they're also needing something over here. You can still help them because I've given you a companion that's smart. And so now when you think about it, the future, we're not 100% sure what it's going to look like, but now you can hire differently. You may be able to hire more cross-store because they now have the ability to get help on the spot. So looking at it from that lens has helped us create solutions that enables us to make them feel more confident, them be able to serve our customers better, because all those things are going to help make this a great experience, and people are going to want to return to Lowe's. And our associates are going to feel confident about working at Lowe's. On the other side of that, when you think about HR, so we've got these big projects that are happening across the thing that's highly governed, highly planned in our financials and all of that. But then every function has a perpetual productivity improvement mindset. So I have to constantly think of PPIs that we could be doing in HR to work smarter, to deliver the solutions faster with less manual effort. And so I worked from an AI perspective, as I said, HR is here to be an advocate for the associate. And so every swim lane that touches an associate experience, we started down that swim lane and said, what is good, but what's not good enough? And how can we leverage AI to make it better? And how can we use people to be on people-related things and not putting people on doing tasks that we can use AI for? A very simple example is that a recruiter has many recs. There's no chance that if one rec garners 700 applicants, that a recruiter can review 700 applications in a very reasonable period of time. It's going to take them a week or so. And then they got to stack rank them, and then they got to give the hiring manager the best list. Well, guess what? All that is going to take weeks, and you're trying to hire talent. So if you have an agent that can go in and help the recruiter screen through 100% of the applicants, stack rank them based on the criteria, and give you a list that now you as a recruiter can do what you do best, is you know what that hiring manager needs, you know what fit would work, you can now help make sure that the recommendations that AI gave you from their assessment to do that and say, these are your best 5 people you should look at. So I, as a recruiter, have just taken weeks of work away that I could never do. So it's not even work that they could do because it was impossible. I don't have enough recruiters to look at one rec at 700 people.
Yeah.
So I had to think smarter. So my mindset was associate experience, and we worked backwards and we created swim lanes, and we're integrating AI and agents, and now we have a tool that we've used for over a year. Her name is Lucy. So if you ever log into Lowe's career site, Lucy's going to pop up. And Lucy handles 85% of our high volume jobs, and she gets them from applicant to getting them scheduled for an interview, where that was taking an enormous amount of head count and time on stuff that people would much rather be spending their time with the candidate and the hiring manager, that you don't need them to do it. So Lucy does all that for us now. She's a chatbot. She's not AI, but she's a version of where technology, thinking about the associate experience, comes in. And that is what helps us do better. Long-winded, but hopefully that helps.
Amazing. It's super helpful. Whitney, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. And sensitive to time as well. These are great. And I was like fiercely taking notes. One of the questions I had is, I similarly work in a retail environment and have challenged my heart always when I have team members say like, hey, can I get a pay increase? I'm earning below a living wage. Like we're kind of working with individuals that sometimes are in government assistance, that a lot of variety. And we have a very flat pyramid. So we have a lot of hourly associates, and then few are going to get promoted to kind of that manager level and move their way up. Curious how you handle kind of career pathing for individuals that they're like, I want to grow with this company, but you've got a lot of people at the hourly and probably fewer manager positions, and how you support that.
So similar structure, but what I think is, and it's a real challenge. So I will tell you, it's not, Whitney, something that I think we are great yet at. I say yet because I think we should figure out how to get great. But what I will offer is that we have about 8,600 assistant store manager positions, and those are tough jobs and they're not easy to fill. And part of it is helping us make that a better job, a good job that people want to do, and we are making sure that they're trained and ready. So when you think about the ladder, so we've shown associates the career path. Like if you're in a store, you can start as an hourly associate in the front end, then you can become department supervisor, assistant store manager, district, region, division. So we've shown them the path, and we now have this stuff sitting in our break room so people can see how to do it. Because at a company like this size, you can get lost in how to do that. So we put together an overview of that. We show them how many average years it could take to do that. We show them the pay changes. So then that helps motivate them to take on more. So you get an increase, but everything is now, we're moving towards a performance-based culture. So if you are wanting to make more money than that pay range will offer for that job, you're going to have to do a different job if you're at the top. Because just assuming it's you, or you have to be the best at that job because you got to outperform others because it's a pay for performance culture. But if you want to be able to stay in the space that you're in and you want more pay, that's going to be a hard one to do because you have to do more to get more. And you got to do it well. And that is a part of the cultural shift. And it's a slow moving shift is what I would say. But I think this is where the other benefits that you do to supplement. So what are the things that you're doing to help somebody know how to budget better and manage the money they do have? We introduced 401k loans, not super popular. We were like, stay away from it. You don't want to do. But we said, these are our associates' money. But what we spend time doing is educating them. And we tell them every reason to not touch that. And have you tried these 5 things? And all these things that we offer for you to do, have you tried these 5 things to help you not have to touch that? But if you have to touch it, here's how you got to be prepared. And so we over-index on the education side and not being the big brother, big sister that says, no, you can't get access to that. Because I can't tell you what your economic situation should be. And waiting on the government to change the rule in terms of what qualifies as a hardship, we've been waiting, as you know, for a while. And these people are in desperate need. And so our LERF helps, and so our benefits programs help. And then I think we do have to have the real conversation about if you want to make more, you're going to have to do more.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. We've got just a minute or 2 left. Any other questions from anyone? If not, I'm going to ask you, Janice, what did we miss that you would really love to share?
I think you guys got a lot of what is exciting to me, and that was probably the most important thing is what makes me get excited about this work. So if we're all doing this work, what makes us stay excited about it? Because there's people counting on us. There's people that need us to do this and need us to find the joy and the love in doing what we're doing, because that means we're going to do it better. And I can't tell you that I don't have days where I just want to walk out of here screaming and shouting and thinking, who could I just yell at? But at the end of the day, I recollect myself and I'm like, you know what? You have a privilege to do this work. And you should take it as that. You are blessed to be asked to do this for this company, and you are representing these people. And that's the attitude. And so get over your little pity party. You got 15 minutes because you got to get up tomorrow and you got to show up as expected. And that is what I take so to heart. And hopefully that you guys got from me today, if there's nothing about the tips of how we do whatever, because we got a lot of areas we could focus on that's not great that we could fix and probably could learn a ton from every single one of you. But I hope that I could have energized you about what we do every day and how important it is and the value of having the right mindset to do it every day. And honestly, I think that when I can't do it with this level of energy, I will hang up the pumps because I just don't want to be of disservice. I'd rather be of service and take it on the chin from time to time. I mean, I get beat up for decisions I make and I'm like, well, I thought that was the right decision. And so, but at the end of the day, that's what you get paid to do. And so hopefully that's what came across, and that was my biggest opportunity I think I had today.